Good morning, everybody. Now, yesterday I went out to my local town, Bognor Regis, and I reported from there that two of the four banks that still exist in Bognor Regis were closing down. And I asked people to let me know what was happening around the country. And the response I've had from the video I made yesterday was absolutely overwhelming. I've never had anything like this from making a video. So tens of thousands of people watched it on YouTube, and 10,000 more, nearly 100,000 people have seen that video on Twitter as well. And I had responses from people all over the UK, from small towns and medium-sized towns and even big metropolises, saying that their banks are being closed down. It's St Ives, Liskeard, Tavistock, Crediton, Burgess Hill, Folkestone, Sudbury, Chesterfield, Dunbar in East Lothian, many more. People in even Stockport in Manchester saying some of the banks there have been closing down, and people living in the greater Bristol, greater Cardiff areas in the suburbs of those cities, and greater Leeds and Liverpool as well, saying that banks were closing down all over the place in the suburbs, and it was looking like there's only going to be one left, one branch of each bank being left right in the centre of places like Cardiff and Bristol, serving 300, 400,000 people, which means it's almost impossible to go to your bank if you bank with someone and actually see someone, because it's a long way, it's much further. And do the maths, I mean, if there's not going to be opening any more counters in those central branches, so, it's very unlikely you're actually going to get to see a person to actually physically take out cash or deposit cash if you want to. They want to get everyone to use the machines to do this, but sometimes the machines don't work, and they put limits on the machines so that you can only take out a certain amount of cash every day if you need to, and you only get notes if you need change to give change to customers. When you're running a business, then you're not going to have that facility, because you can't get change out of the machines. A lot of people saying, look, I noticed the machines, cash machines, are now only giving out £20 notes, which I've noticed as well. You used to get 5s and 10s, now there's only 20s. So, there's no change for you in the cash machines. Also, people saying even in larger towns and cities like Worthing, which is near me as well, so the banks are reducing their counter hours down from 8 hours a day to 6 hours a day, or 5 days a week to 3 days a week. Now, what they will say is, well, you can use the post office, because the post office now offers services, banking services, on behalf of all the banks. So, you can go to a post office and deposit money and withdraw money if you have a bank account with any of the other big banks, most of the big banks, and even some of the online banks and new fintech banking operations that have set up. But again, do the maths. There's not any extra post office counters. So, if you have a town serving 50,000, 100,000 people, and you have 4 banks or 5 banks or 6 banks in that town, they all close down, well, they're going to lose, about 20 counters, which would be seeing people all day, every day, because they're busy. These bank branches are not, they're not unoccupied. I mean, when I was watching the Barclays Bank branch close yesterday in Bognor Regis, there were people coming in and out all the time, even right up until the moment that it finally shut its doors. So, these facilities are in demand. So, they can say, well, you can use the post office, but there's no extra counters in the post offices. All that's going to do is move customers from one place to another, but there's not any extra facilities to deal with the extra customers at the post office. I mean, when I go to my local post office, it's busy all day, and that doesn't serve a very big area, but there's people coming all day, every day. There's a big queue all the time, and those queues are going to get bigger. If they're going to have to take on the customers from the bank branches that have been closed down. And also there are limits as well in terms of what cash you can deposit and how much cash you can take out. I mean, we've heard, and it's been in the news headlines, NatWest, one of the biggest banks in the UK, nearly 40% owned by the government and therefore the people, has put limits on how much cash you can deposit into an account there. £3,000 a day. Now, for me, that's no problem. I mean, I'm not going to deposit £3,000 in a day. But also, in a year, they say you can only deposit a maximum of £24,000 in cash in a year if you have a NatWest account. So again, for me as an individual, that isn't going to affect me at all. But for businesses, small businesses and lone traders who really need it's full access to be able to deposit and withdraw cash as often and as much as they need to, this is going to be really, really devastating to small businesses whose customers pay in cash or who want to allow people to continue to have the choice to pay cash. So everything is militating against this. They're not banning it, but they are doing this, making life very difficult for people who want to continue to use cash in a very underhand, covert manner. So this is what's happening, and it's very clear from how many people wrote into me, in the comments, hundreds of comments yesterday. And thank you for everyone who did comment that this is happening, not just in my town, but all over the country, in every single corner of the country. Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland too. People are saying one of the banks in Northern Ireland's just, closed most of its branches. I've even heard from people abroad saying the same thing is happening in Spain, in the United States as well. Branches are closing down all over the place. And in Spain, in the United States, and other countries, I don't know if there is an alternative like the post office that's being set up there. So if there isn't, then, you're really stuck. There's no possibility of getting banking facilities at all unless you drive, a round trip of 20, 30, 40, 50 miles just to go to a bank. And, for someone who just goes to the bank occasionally, it's not a problem. For a business who needs to go to the bank 2 or 3 times a week to deposit cash, to take out cash, it's just simply not going to be possible to do that. So you can see how they are coercing you, making life difficult to try to get businesses to go digital and to give up cash. I've seen this in some cafes and restaurants, up in Chichester. A couple of times I've been places and they've said, "Oh no, we don't take cash anymore. It's a new thing." So one time I'd already sat down and eaten a meal. So that was a difficult conversation to have there. Another time it was a cafe, and I just walked out and went to another cafe that took cash. And I think that's what we got to do, is just if someone says we are not taking cash anymore, we're cashless, you just go and take your business elsewhere. But it isn't, sometimes it's not the business's fault, because the banking facilities are being closed down on them. And so this is touching on the nub of the issue here. I think a lot of businesses want to carry on using cash, would do, but it's being made difficult for them on purpose. and this needs to stop. So, obviously, if I was, in government, I'd do something about it. We've got the fake conservatives in government who are not doing anything about it. And it doesn't seem like, that they are particularly concerned. Indeed, they want to go the opposite direction and bring in a central bank digital currency. And we do not want the kind of central bank digital currency which is like the currency connected to social credit that they have in China, where if you say the wrong thing, then your bank credits just don't work. They can cut you off from spending just like that. If you have cash, the government can't say, oh, right, well, you can't spend your cash here, there, or wherever. You can still spend your cash, wherever you like, unless you go to a cashless outlet. But they can't stop you, if you have cash. They can't program your cash. But if you have digital currency, central bank digital currency issued by the central bank, well, they can program it. So you have to use it by a certain date. You can only use it on certain items. They might stop you from spending it on long distance train tickets or flights, so you can't travel. They might stop you from spending it on petrol, so you can't fill up your car, and that restricts you from traveling again. They might stop you from spending it on meat because they want you to eat all the other disgusting stuff that they're trying to make at the moment that they want you to eat, which is absolutely, demonic rubbish. We don't want that at all. This is the kind of world that they want to create, and the fight is now. So thank you for your responses. Thank you for watching the video. For political resistance, please join me in the Heritage Party. Cash is freedom. Freedom is our heritage, and we want to protect that and make sure people stay free and are able to spend their own money when they want, how they want, where they want, without being restricted by the government. You can join me on heritageparty.org as a member, and even more, you can consider becoming a candidate and standing for us in the next general election, which will be coming up next year. We need to really get together, all of us who are concerned about these things in the UK, and fight for it in the political arena. So that's what I'm doing here with the Heritage Party. And, if you're in other countries watching this, there are some good parties in other countries. I mean, I know, obviously, the ADF AFD. Yeah, AFD in Germany, the PPC, Maxime Bernier in Canada, and such parties are parties that are going to be on your side, who will stand up for freedom and your right to continue to use cash. So, whatever country you're in, find somebody, find the party that is like the Heritage Party in the UK, join it, and stand and turn this around in the political arena. Okay, thank you everyone for listening, and I hope you have a good day wherever you are. God bless you all.